All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Adams Brothers Podcast. Happy Monday to each and every last one of you out there watching in Facebook and YouTube land. Welcome to the Adams Brothers Podcast. We are joined here this evening with Miss Sarahca Peterson. She is joining us here on our podcast. We've been trying to get Sarahca on here for about a year now. We love what she's doing down there in Pompano Beach. So if you're watching out there in Facebook land and YouTube land, welcome Miss Sarahca Peterson to the show. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
And I forgot to mention that you are a podcaster and a community activist, well known in Pompano, and we love the work that you're doing down there in Pompano. Like we were talking off air here a few minutes ago. So I want to jump right in. Just tell the audience out there that's watching right now a little bit about Sarahca and Peterson, and then we'll go on into the redevelopment, the $2 billion project that's going on in Pompano.
Okay. So my name is Sarahca Peterson. I am a entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur. I am an artist, poet. I'm a podcaster, community activist. I am a child of God, and I am doing the work. That's it. That's all, I think.
Yeah. And you're doing a very good job at
Yes.
it. We like we were saying again off of the air. We love what you're doing, and
Oh yeah.
keep on doing what you're doing down there. In spite of the negative people down in Pompano that
And
don't
everywhere.
want to see development, and they're gonna do everything they can to sabotage, development, redevelopment there in Pompano. But keep doing what you're doing. And speaking of that $2 billion project,
No, I wanted to ask a question
go ahead.
first before
Yeah,
you
go
do
ahead.
that. I wanted to ask you what inspired you, Sarahca, to get involved in your community and local politics. What was there any one or two things that inspired you?
Oh man, a great question, because what got me started was when I came back from college. I attended a few meetings in the community, and at the time in Pompano, there was a lawsuit between the city and the county to uh, extend or terminate, sunset the CRA. And the option was to extend the CRA for another 30 years. That would have gave the Northwest CRA in Pompano about 220, 230 million over a 30-year period to go towards redevelopment. And there was a push to stop it. And what the community did at that time, but with the push of the leaders at that time, was they chose to take a settlement of $10 million, not extend the CRA for the 30-year period, and take the $10 million. And I didn't know at that time how significant was, because at the time I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know much about the CRA.
Right.
I just got back from college. At that point, I'm just following the leaders that the community has. And once I started to go to City Hall and pull public records, I got very involved through the arts. I noticed that there was a lot of uh, arts happening in the community, a lot of concerts, but none of those concerts were geared towards Black culture in the Northwest District and what we wanted to see. So I went and pulled the contract. The contract was 136 pages. And I read this contract and I realized that all this money that was going towards cultural arts and entertainment in the city, that there was no entertainment that was specifically to the Northwest District and for the culture of the Northwest District. So I started going to the commission meetings and, asking questions. I started pulling more public records to read about more things. And that's what got me involved. Like, I started seeing how, I was led to follow the leaders at that time who made an emotional decision about the future business of the community. And hindsight, I know that was wrong decision. But now I am seeing that, you know, we do the best we can with the information we have at that
Right.
time.
Right.
Uh, I'm still responsible for that decision because 30 years from that time, that's my children's future that was mortgaged.
Yeah.
And I have to now figure out a way to make sure they're able to participate in generational wealth within Pompano.
Right. I want to ask you they you mentioned that they took the $10 million over to CRA. What did the city do with those $10 million? Do you remember?
So they just recently they set up a board. So it was for residential slum and blight. The $10 million had to be used for residential slum and blight. The city could not touch the money. There were people appointed to a board, and the board decided what to do with the money. And the county dispersed it. About $1 million of it went towards a pilot project to redevelop some homes, and it wasn't done well. As a matter of fact, it wasn't a good job that they done. So it trickled down to about 9 million, and then the rest of the money was dispersed to some local contractors that will be doing some work in the community. But when you think about it, $10 million doesn't go far for residential slum and blight,
No.
especially right now when we have the type of housing that we have, in the roofs, in the insurance, and all of these things that are causing our neighborhoods to uh, create more blight and slum. And I just want to make sure that people understand that these decisions are made with or without you, with or
Mhm.
without you in the room. And it's best for you to get educated. I don't want people to take my word for it. Like everything I'm saying, you can go pull public records
Yeah.
and see it for yourself, and it has no feelings involved. Because when I'm talking to the city, I'm not talking about how I feel. I'm talking about the economic opportunities, economic development for people like me in my community, especially when you have a project that's valued at $2 billion, and the majority of this project is slated to be in a historically Black community. There has to be a mandate that investment comes and that we're included in it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that they come to these meetings and they being disruptive, and they're yelling out a lot of things that's somewhat true but not totally true. But all like you just said, all they have to do is go pull the public records. I mean, the truth is right in the records there. You know, all you have to do is go pull them and get involved. Go to these commission meetings down there in Pompano. Go to the, call your commissioners and your mayor and ask a whole lot of questions. Send emails and get involved. Rather than just trying to be disruptive.
One
Down
thing
there in
Sarahca
Pompano,
said too that is so true. She said about that the decisions are made with or without you. And a lot of times people always hear, and I know this here in Deerfield, and I'm quite sure it's the same probably in the most of our Black communities, where you have people always got these great ideas in the community, but you never see them at any meeting. They always come out after the fact when something is done, the project is near getting ready to start. Then they come out and want to raise holy hell. Then when where were they before? And like you said earlier, what is so important, the decisions are going to be made with or without you.
Right. Right.
Yeah, did the development. Let me tell you, I started studying development about 10 years ago. I've been following this project for 10 years, and I started studying development. And with studying it, the number one and the first rule of studying development is that it's patient. Development is a very patient animal, and it will wait you out. And if you don't have your affairs in order, when I mean your affairs, not just what you want to be done with your estate while you're living, but what your children should do, what your grandchildren should do. And those conversations aren't had in our communities a lot because we didn't know that those
Mhm.
types of conversations were what it took to build generational wealth. It requires you to think 50 years ahead. And a lot of the work that you may do now, you may not even see the fullness of it. And you have to accept that when you are planning and building generational wealth. Our
Yes.
community And the people who were speaking, I want to say, like, those people who were speaking, they were emotional. And I don't,
Mhm.
you know, after the meeting, I went up and talked to them. I love them
Yes,
all.
you did.
We're all together in this. We just have different perspectives on it and
Mhm.
viewpoints, and all of it is valid. I'm not invalidating anybody's feelings. What I will say is that when you are being emotional in a business setting, at no point are you getting the best deal possible.
Mhm.
And that is where I am with this development, is to make sure we get the best deal possible, because there is business being discussed about the future of this community. And
Mhm.
it's emotional because you think about what the history is when it comes to development, and when it comes to what happens in our community when cities get involved, when government get involved. These things are very real, and they are not to be pushed under the rug like it can't happen. No, it is very real, but it also has to be addressed that oftentimes we're not in the room and we're not at the table. And most I'm sorry, I got a call. Most of the times when we are at the table, we, when I say we, I mean uh you know, certain black folks, all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
That's
It
right.
Yeah.
everybody's not at the table ordering for us. They may be
Right.
ordering for me, and most people eat while they're at the table, so when they go home, they nobody asks them what you had or what you eat, and you know, I was very adamant about, when I submitted a proposal to the city to do the work that I'm doing, that I film it, because I want to make sure we're documenting this process, because there are so many conversations about what has happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when Pat Larkins was here, and all of these conversations. And if you talk to this person, they say he said this. If you talk to this person, they said that. Our history has to be ingrained into this project. And that is why a huge part of my contract is documenting and filming this process, because we have to make sure that even if we make mistakes,
Yes.
that the next generation see it and see where the mistake is, and they don't do the same thing we did.
Well
And
said.
that's what we're doing with this project, where we're righting some wrongs. The city 100% knows that this community has been underserved and neglected far too long. And yes, the timing, because they want to build the development now, the downtown project now, yes, it works. It works. But am I going to, you know, be angry and upset because now you're wanting to pay attention? No. But now that I got your attention, let me get all I can while you over here. And pay attention to what's happening in every area of this community.
Mhm.
There's a lot of socioeconomic issues in our community, and a lot of the social issues that we want to address. They're not the city's responsibility. And that's where nonprofits come in. That's where nonprofits have to come to the table and be strategic partners to make sure we can address those issues. I was thinking, like you said earlier, you guys, you know, told me about my mom. There's not a support group in our community for people who have lost loved ones. There's not a support group for parents whose kids have been murdered by gun violence. There's not support groups for mental health. Like, we don't have a lot of things in our community, but we have a lot of issues, and we got a lot of people complaining. So at this point right now, while all eyes and in the spotlights on us, bring all the stuff to the table. But if you're going to bring one problem, bring 10 solutions, because
Right.
we all know the problems. The problems aren't new or unique to Pompano or the Northwest District. Like you say, you guys have the same issues in Deerfield.
Yes,
Same
we
issue.
do. Yes, yes.
Yep.
And
So
if you could go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, so as we move forward, like, we don't have to recreate the wheel. If something's working in Deerfield, let's find out. Let's connect. That's community. Community is us living together, if you got a lawnmower, why I need to go buy a lawnmower? Can I pay you $10 to borrow your lawnmower and cut my?
Thank you. Thank you.
If I got a weed whacker and you got the lawnmower, now I got the weed whacker. You can use the weed whacker, and I got the lawnmower.
There
That's
you go.
community. And
Yeah.
when we start operating like that, we start to see just how rich we are with resources when we start talking to each other.
Yeah, and then you got a big $2 billion contract like that coming to Pompano. And if these developers want to come here, you got to make sure you get something from them. You don't just let them come in here and do anything. Okay, what's in it for us? And I understand the passion that was being spoken down there last week. And
that was a great meeting.
It was a great meeting. I learned a lot. And the proposal, we know you on a time limit here tonight, but this evening. But like I just said, man, if these developers coming in with all this money, make sure that your community, the Black community, gets something out of that $2 billion, something out of that $2 billion project there.
Because development is coming. If people just might as well get used to it, it's coming here, and it's gonna. If you're not prepared for it, it's kind of like the old New Jack City. What Nino Brown said, you know. You're either gonna roll. You're gonna roll with him, or he's gonna roll over you. So people got a choice. Yeah, they got a voice, but the development is coming. And from talking after the meeting, I think the consensus is there to do everything that they say they're gonna do. So the folks might as well just try to get the best of what they can get, because we were talking to the elected officials there too. So we got a good consensus, I think, from that. The project is going to come. Just try to get what you can get. I know, like Daryl said, I know you're on a time constraint, but the meeting was well attended.
Yes,
I mean, I wish we can even get those many people here in Deerfield that at least will listen and open up their mind and hearts to just listen without being so emotional.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is being consistent with meeting with the community. You can't meet with them one time and talk about a project to this magnitude and expect everything to just be about business. Like, the emotions are going to come because it is emotional. What the elders remember about Pompano is not what we remember about Pompano.
Right.
Space and room and grace to everybody for that. However, I have to be very adamant about the future. I have a 4-year-old son. I got a 24 and soon to be 18-year-old. And when I think about my 4-year-old son, I'm 42 years old. This project is going to take 10 to 15 years to build. I'll be somewhere around 55, 60 years old before this project is fully complete. My son will probably just be 14. When I think about that, when I think about the fact that my son will be 14, 15 years old and walking around a new downtown, I need him to be able to afford. I need people to know that he belongs there. I need him to know that he deserves and belongs there. I need him to know that what he sees his mother helped build for him. I need him. And the only way he's going to see it is if I keep my foot on this gas right now. I am not. I don't go into any meeting and make anybody comfortable with my Blackness and my struggles and the things I grew. I don't speak to cater and pander to one demographic differently than the other. My story is my story. You know, these times where we have to speak truth to power about things. People are tired of being lied to. And when you show up because there's a holiday or an election time, you know, we know what it is, but here it is, it's money. This is what we're talking about, $2 billion is money. And all of us should get real interested and curious about the money that's being spent in this community and not look at it like it's something that is pushing us out. I grew up in Pompano, so y'all right down there in Deerfield, but Pompano, I don't take too well to put people pushing me. You know, I push back, push me.
So do we. We understand we understand the struggle.
So, we understand. We're in that same struggle together. Just two different communities.
2 different cities.
That's it.
Same struggle.
Yeah.
Right?
You guys understand the fact that, you know, nothing's ever been given to us. Ain't nobody giving us nothing. We're coming to the table with demands and being able to hold people accountable and make sure they do the things they say they're going to do. Make sure that we keep ourselves in the know about what's happening. Like,
Right.
you got to know what's happening. You know, there's
Mhm.
information going on about this project, and that's politics right now. Period. Misinformation.
Right.
Disinformation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Misinformation and disinformation
Right.
that rules our communities.
Right.
And I'm so glad that you're in Pompano and you're
Yeah,
making
yeah.
change. And we hope to get you back here
Yeah. Yeah.
in the future. We know
You're on a time
you're
constraint.
on a
here
time
this evening.
constraint. And again, we want to extend our condolences
Yes,
on the death
yes.
of your mom. We let our visitors
Yeah.
know that Sarahca lost her mom. So
If you're out there watching in Facebook land or YouTube, extend your hand and say a
pray
prayer for Sarahca. She lost her
yes.
mother, but we're all praying for you.
Yes, and we just wanted everyone to know that, and we want you to just keep up the good work. Like I say,
Yeah.
we want to get you back on here at some point in the future to have another extended talk under better circumstances.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for your
Yeah.
continue to do what you're doing. Your voices, this platform is needed to educate the community. So you guys let me know when you're ready to have me back, and maybe
Oh yeah.
in person next time too, because I think we can have a good time. Y'all gonna have
Oh,
yes,
yes.
we can. Yes, we can. We're
Yeah.
gonna chop it up. We're gonna talk about Deerfield and Pompano. We know you got a lot going on, so we definitely don't want to keep you. But if you're just joining us, we've been talking to Sarahca Peterson. She's a activist. She's a podcaster, a poet. Everything. She's got many titles, and
Community
she's very
activist, artist,
very smart, very articulate.
Yes.
Sarahca Peterson, thank you for joining us here on the Adams Brothers podcast. And we definitely want to get you back here on our podcast.
You're an asset to Pompano Beach.
Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, you guys have a good one.
You
You
as
too.
well. Have a good evening.